Let's go, offense, let's go.
Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome into a fresh edition and a fresh week of Training Camp Live, presented by Xfinity. Live pictures from practice here on a Monday from the Under Armour Performance Center. Players out on the field after a day off and an exciting stadium practice at M&T Bank Stadium Saturday night. Matthew Judon, part of a veteran group that's getting this team ready for week one, which is right around the corner. Less than 2 weeks, but an important week here as this team continues to evaluate this roster. Cliff Brown with us again, and get ready for that cut down day in a few days. And then, as I mentioned, week one right around the corner. So as we get here ready and set for the final week of training camp, Cliff, as you've looked back at Saturday and the last few days, what's top of mind?
Well, I mean, we're getting close to the real thing. I mean, think about it. 2 weeks from today, we'll all be Monday morning quarterbacking, talking about how the Ravens performed week one against the Cleveland Browns. It's that close. And I think the players obviously are really happy for these cooler temperatures here today. It's a great day for practice. They want to hone in on really getting ready for the Browns. And a lot of decisions have to be made about starting lineups, playing time. There's still battles going on, and guys are really tuned in now, I think, as it gets closer to get prepared. So an important week of practice for everyone. And certainly I think the Ravens right now are going to try and set the tone for getting ready for that opener.
Great look at the top of the quarterback depth chart there, Lamar Jackson and RG3. Remember to engage with us on Facebook in the comments section. Questions, ideas, thoughts, and we'll get to those over the course of the show. But as we mentioned, Saturday was unique, a chance to get out on the road, if you will, and back into the friendly confines of M&T Bank Stadium for what was described as scrimmage night. And here's a look back at that. Your top plays, moments, images presented by Oakley. And Cliff, what was your main takeaways from the stadium practice?
Well, it's always a different atmosphere in the stadium, and I think that was reflected. At first, I thought the defense played very well, and the offense, had some struggles going against the defense. But then as the action wore on, the offense started to make plays. Lamar had a really strong finish, I thought, to the practice. And, I think it's just good that the Ravens have been able to get over to M&T a couple of times so far, because this is such a weird ramp-up to the regular season. No preseason games. For the rookie players, this is their only chance to be in the stadium until the season starts. And we saw they tried to replicate almost everything about a real game. They even warmed up for practice on the field, then went back in the locker room, then ran out the tunnel before practice started. They had a halftime break. So they're trying to do everything they can to get used to the fact that even though we won't be playing any preseason games at the stadium, when we start week one, it won't seem so strange when we go in there.
Yeah, I thought that was probably my main takeaway, is just how much they tried to replicate what week one will look like. A note here, a tweet from Pat Ricard counting down the seconds as they get prepared for week one against the Browns at home at the bank. We heard from Mark Ingram after that practice, that scrimmage, and you touched on it some there, Cliff. I mean, out of the gates, the offense sputtered a bit, and he made the point. He said today was needed, that being that scrimmage, to see where we are and where we need to go. We're not ready as of right now, and this offense has a lot of expectations on its shoulders, largely due to the fact that it was historic last season. And I think that the fact that they were able to come out, maybe not be as sharp as they'd like, pre-snap penalties, also a topic of conversation, but at least finish that practice, that scrimmage, with some positive notes. And I think it's energized the guys, just as we've been standing here watching them get ready for this Monday practice, to really get to work. I mean, there's a sense after that scrimmage that, yeah, we're good, but we still got some things we need to iron out here, and this game is right around the corner.
Right, Evan. Well, coaches always like to have things that they can point to that are easily say, hey, we need to get better here.
Yeah, there's evidence.
Right, there's evidence there. But I think the Ravens, they can also harken back to last season, the way they opened the season down in Miami and how sharp they were, that they definitely have the ability to hone in on, a time when people are really going to be looking, okay, how is this offense going to be different? What new wrinkles are there going to be? well, they really responded, I think, and set the tone, I thought, offensively, right off the bat in week 1 last year. They'd like to do the same thing against the Browns this year. Come out with a really strong performance, show everybody that, yeah, we were explosive last year, but we're going to be different and explosive again this year. So that's what they're trying to do. We look at the offensive line there. Obviously, a lot of focus. This will be the first season in a long time without Marshall Yonder, a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, at that right guard spot. Whoever plays it is going to be under the microscope, and really the whole offensive line is so important in this Greg Roman offense. This is going to be a key week or two for them as they get ready for the season.
Yeah, urgency is the term that keeps coming up as we hear from players and coaches, and it makes sense with where they find themselves with the season right around the corner. Just getting started here on Training Camp Live, presented by Xfinity. When we come back, we're going to take a look back at the virtual offseason and a day in the life of rookie J.K. Dobbins.
Feel like you've watched all the things? Now there's more to love with Xfinity X1, the ultimate entertainment experience. Like live sports, they're back with the best way to watch. And more streaming apps all in one place. More classics, more premieres, plus more to easily find using just your voice. Hello, more. Where have you been all my life?
Get this offer now with DVR service included for a year. Plus, get speed, coverage, and security with the X-Fi Gateway. Click, call, or visit a store today.
If the last few months have taught us anything, it's that we really, really miss football. It's coming, and Ravens scratch-offs from the Maryland Lottery are already here. Play now for a chance to win up to $100,000. Or second chance cash and Ravens prizes like seats for 20 years. Please play safely and responsibly.
I can't be covered.
It is caught by Hollywood Brown.
I can't be covered.
Touchdown, Willie Snead.
Except now. Except now.
Except now.
I wear a mask because I care.
I wear a mask because I care about my family.
My family, my kids, my parents.
My teammates.
My coaches.
My fellow Marylanders.
Because I care about you.
Because I want us to watch football together again.
Because I want our stadium full again.
Because I want to jump into the stands.
So wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
And stop the spread. Mask on, Maryland.
That's a buffalo flatbread bullseye for my mouth to aim at. Oh, hiding, huh? The new grilled buffalo chicken papadilla. Tangy buffalo sauce, grilled chicken, and melty cheese for just $6. Papa John's.
Welcome back to Training Camp Live, presented by Xfinity. Check out the new Maryland Lottery Ravens Scratch-Off games. Pick up Ravens Scratch-Offs for your chance to win up to $100,000 instantly. There are great second chance prizes as well, like cash and a Ravens fan experience, including season tickets for next year and seats for 20 years. Hurry and enter before September 22nd for your chance to win a pair of season tickets. They're great seats for the 2021 season. Visit mdlottery.com/Ravens for all the details. And we don't just speak these, we see these. Our scratch-offs, Cliff, you and I have talked about it. There's a bond that we've developed that if we are to become big winners, we'll take care of one another, correct? Is that still the case on a Monday?
It is, Evan. I won't freeze you out, I promise, man.
Well, Ryan Mink's not getting any of this. We'll talk to John Eisenberg about it, too. He's joining us for the remainder of the week after today. We had discussed the Saturday night scrimmage and how it was a bit of a slow start offensively for Lamar Jackson and company, but they responded. And as we look at Lamar here on the screen, live pictures from this Monday practice, he went through the days off due to an undisclosed injury. Seems to be back himself out on the field. What are things that you have kept your eye on over the course of your time here out at the facility, out at practice? And we'll check in, too, with Renzo, who wants some insight on Lamar Jackson's training camp. So it's a good way to lead to that, Cliff.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think his training camp has been good, not perfect, but good, and I think that's actually a good thing. No one's harder on Lamar than Lamar, and his only goal this year is to lead the Ravens to a Super Bowl championship. So that's as high a bar as you can set, and personally, the bar for him is so high as the reigning MVP. I don't think he's worried about that at all. What he's worried about is getting in sync with this offensive unit, because this is different than last year when he had the whole training camp and some of the preseason to get used to the rookies and he knew the changes in the offense. This year he has a better grasp of the offense, and you look at those numbers from last year, incredible season. People forget he's only 23. He hasn't reached his full potential yet. So I think he's doing just fine as far as getting ready for the season. But again, as I mentioned before, I think he's going to really lock in these last 2 weeks to make sure he can start the season as fast this year as he did last year.
And quickly, Cliff, just to play the other side of this, though, when you have that level of demand on yourself and you make your goals so clear, and pressure I don't think is the correct term, but that level of angst that can surround any sort of struggle, to me, could be exhausting at times. Could that be a concern for Lamar as he deals with the inevitable challenges that the season presents, that because he's built this up so much that it could at times work against him?
I mean, I guess it could, but I don't think that's going to be a problem with Lamar. He brings such energy to every day. He's such a positive person. I think he's always expecting the best of himself, and it is going to happen. He has that kind of confidence that he doesn't talk about, but it's there all the time. And he definitely feels that there are doubters out there still, which motivates him. I mean, he can improve as a quarterback, but he's an MVP, yet he's still under tremendous scrutiny. So I think that, him wanting that Super Bowl so badly, something that's tangible that he can chase, is good. I don't think the pressure will overwhelm him because he's such a mature guy for his stature, for his age. I don't think he's affected by the outside noise at all. I think he'll be just fine there.
Yeah, he's proven that over the course of time. Looks pretty good as a wide receiver as well, if we ever find ourselves in that situation. We mentioned it before we headed to break. It was an offseason unlike any other in the NFL, and it probably affected the rookies more than anybody. So a good chance to get a sense of what that was like. Here's a day in the life of rookie J.K. Dobbins over the course of a virtual offseason.
What's up, Ravens flock? Good morning. About to go into virtual meetings. Shoot, I wish I was, at the facility with my teammates and coaches, but I'm not. So this is the best way to get better.
All right, JK. You ready, man? What you want to do first? You want to do the blitz walkthrough, or you want to do a little Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Let's do the blitz walkthrough first.
All right, so now let's do this. When the safety comes down right here, let's say that we go two jet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're two jet.
Yep. So now we got 44 and look like 50. Working with Coach Weiss one-on-one is definitely a great thing. He finds different ways for me to learn. Fun. Any kind of innovative way we can learn, we try it. So it's definitely been great. I've learned a lot. He's a great coach. He's teaching me well. Can you run it back one more time?
You got it.
You would like to be on the field and, see it physically, in person. But I feel like what he's come up with on virtual meetings is amazing. You get to see what kind of blitzes they're bringing. I feel like I'll be ready to, get on the practice field and I'll know my plays whenever it comes down to it.
All right, here we go. For $100. The search tag on any 4 vertical concept puts the running back on what route?
We got slow.
C, slow?
Yes, sir.
Final answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For $200, what NFL team used to reside in Baltimore?
It's definitely fun meetings, though. It's got How to Be a Millionaire. You want to get all the money. If you keep going, you keep getting money, but you could get to the last question like me. Oh, hey, I'm going all the way to $1 million today.
Final question for $1 million. What college did Coach Harbaugh go to? A, Michigan. B, Western Michigan. C, Ohio. Or D, Miami of Ohio.
Well, so I played against his brother, and his brother went to the team up north. So that's kind of a tricky question because, it's like, he's like, is he talking about the other Harbaugh or is he talking about my head coach?
So now let me clarify. I'm talking about John Harbaugh.
Oh, you talking about? Oh, that's Michigan.
Okay. Final answer.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Miami of Ohio. He's got a statue at Miami of Ohio.
Well, that was a cheap question right there. I didn't know one of them went to school in Ohio. You know? So it was definitely a tough question for me.
All right, JK, we got offense at 11. I'll see you in there.
All right, yeah, see you in there.
Awesome, guys. Great to see everybody. Hope everybody and their family are well. Thinking about rings. That's how we got to think, fellas. It's hard to get to the playoffs, but and then when you get to the playoffs, it's like a whole new season, and that's when you got to make hay and make a legacy, guys. And obviously, there's haves and have-nots in this league every year. Everybody's a have when the season starts, and then certain people just fall by the wayside. Certain people keep getting stronger, and that's who's standing at the end.
I just always want to be the best. Like, I want to be the best in anything I do. And with that comes like a fear of being average. And I don't want to be average. I don't ever want to be average. So I'm always so motivated, and I just find little things like to really take myself off a little bit so I can keep that chip on my shoulder. So motivation never been a problem for me.
A lot of ways to win games. We're going to do it our way. But guys, if we don't protect the football and not turn it over, you got really no chance in this league. So ball security, protecting the football, not turning it over, all the little details that go into that, fellas, that's the price of admission. That's something we've been pretty good at here. When you look at our wins, we protect the ball. When you look at when we don't win, we probably didn't protect the ball. And Matt Weiss is going to talk to us about the finer points here before we break up and get into individual. Take it away, Matt.
All right, so it's awesome to be a part of history right now. The first ever virtual ball security meeting in history of Ravens football. So you guys know a lot of the basics. We talk about them all year, and we know in our offense it's more important, right? Because we go on long drives, okay? It takes us more plays because we run the clock, we eat clock. It takes us more plays, and therefore ball security is even more important for us.
I hear like at the NFL level, ball security is even more of an emphasis because guys make their money by making you fumble the ball or making a turnover. So that's a very big emphasis, and it's always the most important thing. And that's just one thing that you can keep tuning.
This is a point often made by Coach Cully. Okay, so you'll see this here. Body ball boundary. I hear him say it all the time, right? Body ball boundary. You see him switch the ball right here, which one, you should never do in traffic. But two, obviously you want the ball on the outside arm, right? So body ball boundary, you can see why I expose them to more contact. And then a classic 1 and 2, as the pads go down, the ball pops out. So the thing I'll leave you guys with, we'll talk about it in training camp and all that, but mindset, man, you got to be thinking about ball security all the time.
Nice job, Matt. Guys, it's so important. You know, we're going to drill it. You got to think about it on top of all the other things you learn. There's got to be a skill we become the best at. All right, fellas, coming down the home stretch of this off season. Make sure you guys are taking care of your bodies.
All right, fellas. Yeah, so that's what we got. I'll run down what we've got today. A little bit more reps. Where there's not more reps, we're going to add a little bit more load. But the first two things, we've got the rear foot elevated split squat, where the first 8 reps are dumbbell loaded.
So the virtual workouts have been pretty good. You know, I feel like we get great work done. You know, the coaches get to watch us, you know, move around, move some weight. I feel like they give us great workouts and keep us in shape.
Good. JK, extend that hip up top. Hip up top. Get through. Good, Gino. Good, Aaron. That'll work. Good, Broderick. Almost there, boys. Almost there. Keep working. Come on. Drop and catch. Stand back up.
I actually do have access to a gym, like all the stuff we need, like for the workout. So I do everything coaches ask me to do. So that hasn't been a problem. And then that beach workout, you know, that's just extra work. Like I said, I gotta be better. I gotta be the best. Training camp is coming super fast, you know, and that ball's gonna get kicked off no matter, you know, you'll see if somebody's been working or not. And so I'm very excited about that, and I'm just excited to see like my teammates and just finally experience real NFL. You know, like you've been dreaming about it since a kid, and now I get to see what it's really like. So I'm excited about that. Very excited about it.
We appreciate J.K. Dobbins giving us a window into what an offseason was like. That's Matt Weiss there with the hat on, the camo hat, Cliff. And, man, it's incredible what this organization, this staff was able to do to make sure these young guys especially were prepared to come in and really be effective from day one of being out on the field in pads. And from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to some of those 3D graphics and then some of the performance stuff, that's wild.
Yes, I thought they really did a creative job, the coaching staff, making the Zoom training and virtual stuff something that the players could really lock into, learn, but also have fun with. And Matt Weiss, he's got a great room there to work with. Obviously, that has been added J.K. Dobbins to that running back room this year, another special talent. So, I think that in this weird offseason, the Ravens came into training camp as prepared as you possibly could be for what was lying ahead. And the rookies, even though they couldn't get a taste of it on the field, I think that was a great way to get them ready for what to expect once they got here.
If you've been watching the show, you probably recognize, but if you're new to the show, if we're showing things like this or we're on camera, that means they're in a heavy install period right now with special teams, so we can't show that. But it is a chance, Cliff, to focus in on some aspects of this defense that you think are going to be really critical ahead of week one. I think now as the team and the players and the coaches start to skew their attention towards week one, having you narrow down some of the keys for that side of the ball could be helpful.
Yeah, well, no question. I think that, one, obviously, the rookie linebackers, they want to get them up to speed. Obviously, I think, Deshon Elliott, obviously getting him a lot of reps the next couple of weeks, I think is going to be really important. And then making sure everyone's on the same page defensively. Last thing you want is a breakdown that gives up an easy score. So that's going to be something they'll focus on a lot this week, I believe, as well.
And with Patrick Queen, we've seen really since they started taking the field in pads, and we've been out here allowed to watch all of practice up to this point, he seemed to have seamlessly slid into that position where they expected him to go. And then now it's just a question of who's playing alongside him. L.J. Ford's the expectation, but Malik Harrison, to your point, has shown nicely. And we've seen Marlon Humphrey here. He's done his part as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that, Queen has been what the Ravens expected, and he's going to have a lot on his plate that first game and early in the season as a rookie. Harrison, I think, has been definitely, I don't know if you want to call it a surprise, but his athleticism has really shown on the field as far as being quick, a guy who could maybe be a playmaker. His reputation as being a ball stopper and a physical tackler, that part is true. But I think there's more to Harrison's game than just that. And then L.J. Ford, I think, is a great guy to have in that he's there, ready to do the job until these guys can come along and be what the Ravens think they're going to be. So the inside linebacker position has gotten quicker. It's gotten younger, and I think that's going to be a plus for the Ravens defense.
And it's deeper this year too, Cliff, which is a positive. In depth being tested in the back end, in the secondary, and the name that everyone is focused on right now is Deshon Elliott as he steps into a starter's role, at least for the time being. How did he look Saturday in really what was an important night for him in a somewhat live setting as the guy now?
Yeah, I thought he looked good, and I definitely think he had a strong week of practice last week. He's in this new role, and no matter what anyone says, it's definitely a big deal for him. He exudes so much confidence that he acts like a guy who's been starting for years, but he knows deep down that this is an opportunity that he's been waiting for a long time. He's had to persevere through injuries. He's had to learn how to be patient, and I think all of that is going to benefit him this year. I think that, Chuck Clark's been a great mentor to him, not only as how to play the position, but how to study to play the position. We know Deshon Elliott has a lot of talent, but he hasn't had a chance to have a lot of playing experience due to his injuries. Well, I think being with a guy like Chuck Clark is definitely going to accelerate Elliott's learning curve. So they're a tandem, both 6th-round picks. guys who came into the league having to prove that they belong. Chuck Clark has obviously done that. I think Deshon Elliott is going to follow suit.
A lot on Chuck Clark's plate, whether it's Deshon Elliott or helping a young linebacker and Patrick Queen get it going here in year one, and it's right around the corner. Well, as you can see, the guys are shifting towards the individual drills. We're going to take a short time out and be back with some live coverage here on Training Camp Live, presented by Xfinity.
Wawa hoagies are a winning pick for game day. Every hoagie's made with the ingredients you crave in varieties you love. From toasty cheesesteak to mouthwatering meatball, Italian, and more, there's a hoagie for every mood and every appetite. Stop in, order ahead with the Wawa mobile app, or get it delivered. When you're planning for the game, we have you covered with Wawa Catering. Make your game day a winner with Wawa hoagies, snacks, and drinks. Wawa is the official hoagie of the Baltimore Ravens. Gotta have a Wawa.
You can see it in the eyes of every Ravens fan. An unwavering commitment to the team they love. A pride so vibrant, it can be seen from miles away. A community that's fully committed to their team and shows up week after week to help chase a championship. To the Ravens flock, the chat starters, to those who bleed purple, M&T Bank wants to say, we're your biggest fan. All make our voices heard on game day.
1, 2, 3, we got. But on election day, only 60% of eligible Americans even showed up to vote.
Only 60%? 60%? 60% isn't good enough.
We each have a responsibility, an opportunity to be heard.
To choose our representation.
And it's easy.
Visit risetovote.org
and register to vote.
Let's all be heard this election day.
Who doesn't love a new podcast? And we've got one here with the Baltimore Ravens, taking a really appropriate and timely angle, and it's led by my co-host, Cliff Brown. It's Black in the NFL. Cliff, what can you tell us about it?
Well, I'm really looking forward to doing it, Evan. As a journalist, I've had the opportunity to talk to athletes and coaches, asking them to open up about things and give me honest answers. Well, I don't think it's fair for me to do that unless I'm willing to open up myself and give some honest answers and talk about things honestly, about things that are going on in this country now. So we're going to have some interesting conversations with athletes, coaches, activists, media members, all types of spectrum to talk about things in this country regarding racism and social injustice that I really think are holding our country back from being the best it can be. So I'm looking forward to the conversations we need to have. I'm excited about doing it, and hopefully everyone will tune in.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it, man. I think the term is download, rate, subscribe, leave a comment, and continue doing that. Let's get that up the charts. Should be a really important listen for all of us. And as we shift now back to the individual drills, we spent some time, Cliff, on the defensive side of the ball in our previous segment, some of your keys. Let's flip it and go offensive here as we're less than 2 weeks away from week one and a visit from the Cleveland Browns. What three things have you narrowed on as some of your offensive keys?
Well, definitely, I think, as you know, the Ravens, our offensive line, that's been a talking point all offseason. Who's going to replace Jan as the starter and the cohesion of that line? So that's number one. Number two, identify number 3 tight end. We know Hayden Hurst no longer here. Who's going to fill that role, whether it's Patrick Ricard or someone else? And then avoiding pre-snap penalties. That was an issue during Saturday's scrimmage. It's often an issue for teams early, when they're not as sharp, haven't had time together, avoiding those mistakes. So I think that's something they're going to hone in on this week as well.
Okay, let's settle in on that offensive line priority for you, Cliff. And what do you think are going to be the characteristics that this staff, most notably on the offensive side, Greg Roman, John Harbaugh and company, are going to look for in deciding who slides in to that right guard position? Obviously, DJ Fluker is the name that continues to find himself leading that conversation.
Well, whoever starts, does that mean that they've won the job clearly, or did they just win the job temporarily? That's something that, you want to see. Is it with conviction that someone's just going out and taking this job over the last couple of weeks? Or is it someone who is going to start, but if someone comes on later, could they make a change? We saw Bradley Bozeman at left guard. He was not the favorite last year to win that job coming in. He did, and he played so well, the job became his. DJ Fluker may be able to do the same thing. Obviously, he's a vet, as you mentioned, but we don't really know how it's going to shake out yet. And it's not only how he plays, but how well they play together. That's really the important issue to me for the Ravens, not who's the right guard, because we all know Yonder's shoes are almost impossible to fill, but how are they collectively? Are they a better offensive line than last year, as good or not as good? No matter who's in the starting lineup, they want to be a better offensive line than they were last year.
Even Yonda can't fill Yonda's shoes right now. He's lost so much weight. Our guy looks good. Here's a question from Thomas on Facebook, and it kind of could lead us to that third tight end conversation. Sleeping on Miles Boykin. Big boy will go up and get the ball and catch a TD. So Thomas, a fan of Miles Boykin, who's had a really strong camp, but he also brings up a point here, Cliff, that I've heard floated around, not from anyone inside the building, but could Miles Boykin present some of the similar attributes, whether it be route running, where he lines up on the field, that you could get from a third tight end?
Well, he's definitely a guy with his size and catch radius that can give you some catches in traffic to move the chains like tight ends do. He's a wide receiver, but I do believe the Ravens want to do a better job as far as third and long, having multiple targets they can go to. We've seen Mark Andrews excel at that, but Willie Snead has looked great in training camp, and Miles Boykin is a guy who definitely can go up in traffic and make tough catches. So the Ravens do a great job with their running attack staying out of third and long. But when they're in that situation, or even if they want to throw on first and second down, having those possession receivers is really key for an offense. And that should be Miles Boykin's forte. As he said himself, I'm 6'4", 225. A 50-50 ball should be mine. He's shown that type of attitude during his training camp. He's made some nice catches in traffic.
Yeah, red zone should be a priority for him as well, and it has been, as you see him getting some work here, getting off the jump, shedding that corner, that defender, and getting downfield. We're going to take a short break here. More individual drills coming up, and keep those questions coming on Facebook, and we'll get to them after this.
You can see it in the eyes of every Ravens fan. An unwavering commitment to the team they love. A pride so vibrant, it can be seen from miles away. A community that's fully committed to their team and shows up week after week to help chase a championship. To the Ravens flock, to chat starters, to those who bleed purple, M&T Bank wants to say, we're your biggest fan.
That's a buffalo flatbread bullseye for my mouth to aim at. Oh, hiding, huh? The new grilled buffalo chicken papadilla. Tangy buffalo sauce, grilled chicken, and melty cheese for just $6. Papa John's.
Well, fans can't attend games at M&T Bank Stadium in person right now. That doesn't mean your face can't be seen in the seats. Purchase a cutout of yourself and be part of our community of fans, presented by M&T Bank. While you stay safe this season and watch from home, all proceeds will benefit the Ravens' COVID-19 relief efforts in the Baltimore area. Website for information, frequently asked questions, and ordering, BaltimoreRavens.com/community of fans. And I've got an example, a scary one, all that being said, of what this could look like. Cliff Brown, oh man, who's that handsome fella that you got with you? I've got this wacko who looks like he might scare my kids. Mink, man, you look young, sir. This is Mink circa 2012, Cliff. A little Super Bowl shot. So in case you want this, I'm going to sell it on eBay later. We'll see what we can get for Ryan Mink.
You recognize this guy, Evan?
Yeah. No, I might need that. Maybe I could have that settle in for some of the things I don't feel like doing at home. As we ship back out on the field, and actually I'm starting to feel some raindrops, so condition's going to be a part of practice today. And Patrick Queen, we touched on him off the top with some of your defensive keys, how he's settling in, but he's our Frank's Red Hot player profile here. And what he did at LSU in one season really says a lot about his journey as a player. He was a guy who had to wait his turn, really, in that program, but then once he got his shot, he took it and ran with it and became a first-round pick.
No question. I mean, you don't see often a guy who wasn't a starter going into his last year of college football then become a first-round draft pick. That shows you how quickly he accelerated last year, and that shows you why the Ravens think his ceiling is so high. He obviously has the athletic gifts, but he's a guy who's hungry. It wasn't just handed to him at LSU. He had to go get it. And it's going to be the same here. I mean, he definitely is a guy expected to start and to play a lot of reps, but if he's going to be the player he can be, he's going to have to work hard at it. And he has definitely shown that attitude so far. He really has been like a sponge. You see him right there next to L.J. Fort. That's been a familiar scene since training camp started. He wants to soak up the knowledge of the guy like Ford has had as a player in this league. Everyone on defense, I get the sense, is trying to help Patrick because they realize the potential that he has and how much he can help them win football games.
Okay, we've maybe avoided it for the first few weeks of Training Camp Live, but fantasy football making its appearance here on the show. Cooper wants to know, Cliff, should I start OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., or Marquise in week 1? So the two, you would call them wide receivers 1A for the respective teams. Who do you think's worth starting in week 1?
I think that's a good toss there as far as something to think about. But, look at Marquise, the way he started last year, the bang that he started with, and that he wasn't even 100% healthy. I would think that I would lean towards that. I know I'm probably biased being around Marquise every day, but I just keep thinking about the way he started the season in Miami. You look at his body, I mean, he looks like a different guy than last season, so much bigger and stronger. I know he's ready to start the season. And, with the Browns, they've got a lot of talent, but, the question marks are still there. So Marquise, I think, is a guy that, regardless of what OBJ does, I think Marquise is going to have a heck of a season.
Yeah, I'm not a fantasy guy, so I don't know all the point systems, but there's going to be a couple big plays you have to imagine. At least they're going to attempt some week 1. Let's keep some of these questions and topics rolling, especially with the wide receivers. And Darlin wants to know, Duvernay going to get time in week 1? Will he see some time on the field? I mean, I would have to imagine the answer is yes, Cliff. We don't know exactly where he's going to fall when it comes to the depth chart at wide receiver, but he's spent plenty of time with the important core group of offensive players in that offense, and has shown himself to be very capable.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is if he gets time, he looks like he's going to be able to handle it and contribute. I've really been impressed with not only the way he catches the ball, but what he does with it after the catch. He always looks to turn upfield immediately. You see he's put together well. He breaks tackles. He was a tackle breaker in college. He just wasn't just a speed guy who had to get behind you to make a big play. You could give it to him on a short pass, and he would take on defensive backs and get past them or juke around them to make a big play. So he has shown that type of potential to do that at this level. And, yeah, I think that even though it's going to be really hard for rookie wide receivers all over the league, I think the Ravens have 2 of them, and him and Prochet, who could make an immediate impact.
Well, the horn blew. That means our portion of the practice is over. So that'll do it for this episode of Training Camp Live presented by Xfinity. It's been fun working with Cliff Brown. Cliff, always good to be with you. John Eisenberg will join us tomorrow. Stick around for top plays and all the content post-practice, and the press conferences today include the coordinators. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning here from the Under Armour Performance Center.